kind of defer if they can. It's a big risk. Right now, there's a lot of things which we don't know, a lot of uncertainty. So in my opinion, I think they should defer it at least till maybe spring or next year. Obviously, a lot of people might have different opinions. I think it's a big risk and big gamble. You just don't know a lot of things, and instead take that 1 year and develop those skills and get ready for things which you need to do in your own country. That's something I would recommend. There's a lot of things which we don't know.
I'm going to give a quick 30 seconds thing, which I think if you're coming for a 2 years program, you might not need to refer. We understand that there's a lot of energy, a lot of money, which goes into getting the admit, which goes into selecting those universities. Some of you might have already given up your jobs, and you might have taken a gap year, and you do not want to take any gap again. But our recommendation is going to be for the benefit, for the best of you as well. But seeing the circumstances of yourself as where you are standing right now, I think if you're coming for a 2 years course, you can come for fall 20. But if you're coming for a 1 year course, definitely no, because it's going to be so tough to find a job, because there's people who are going to graduate in May who are still finding jobs, and we do not know. They're planning to open up the US, but it might come back in December, and they might ban travel again, and it's just too difficult for us to say.
Yeah, one thing I think is considered is, even if America opens up and if people do online classes in the fall but can come to in-person classes in the spring, we don't know if international travel will open up. Even if domestic travel is open, international travel, to prevent disease spread or continued quarantine, you might be able to technically come study in America, but you might not be able to get on a plane. There could still be an international travel ban. Visa offices might not be open. So there's just so much unknown risks that are just uncontrollable, and it's really hard to make a decision on. So those are just things that you have to be ready to be flexible with.
And my recommendation for all those who are coming for undergrad, I think 4 years is enough time. So you can definitely cancel the plan of deferring, because if you're going to a top school and if your scholarship offer is still there, then you can probably you'll probably be able to manage with online classes, and it will not make a much difference, because you have scholarship. You will be saving money on housing, etc., by staying home, or maybe with online classes, or maybe you get a chance to come in spring. So you can save money this way, and 4 years is enough time to for things to go better and to find opportunities later on.
One question a lot of people are asking so what's going to be the impact of fall 2021? So 1 year, after, scholarships, competition, batch sizes, people who thought, okay, I'll come in a year, how's that going to be impacted for everything that's happening this year in 2020?
I'll tell you what will happen. What will happen is a lot of people are going to defer for spring 20 or fall 21, because a bunch of universities are giving them the options to defer to fall 21 completely. When there's so many people who are going to defer to fall 21, there are going to be people this year who are still going to apply. Yeah, so if you have deferred, obviously your seat is there and it's going to be there, but it might be more difficult for people to get in for fall 21. But all of these are speculations, and all of these things are still in air, because the universities are also changing things every day, thinking what to do, what not to do. So one of the universities said that we will have on-campus semester in August. I just saw that comment on one of my videos. So for fall 21, I would say, yes, there would be less people. It is the same what happened in 2001 and 2008. There were less international students in 2002 and 2009 and 2010 and 2011. There was a significant growth, but there was not as many international students as compared to before, as compared to 2007. So we are going to see the same pattern which we saw before.
Here's a good question. Someone's asking, how important is a master's degree for getting a job in America? How much weight does a master's degree count for getting a job here in America?
I think I can answer that question for you. Yeah. So see, there is one. A lot of people ask that, hey, can we just get a job in the US? Can we apply for jobs in the US? US has 4,000 universities, if you include all the universities. That gives out so many graduates, and they have enough international people as well that they would. Why would they hire someone from outside if they're not qualified enough? If you have, let's say, 10 years of experience and you have the exact qualification match which the companies are looking, then it makes sense for the company. But for a fresher who's right out of college, it's almost impossible to get a job here if you're not a graduate of a US university. If you're coming from a IT company, I guess it makes sense because you're saving so much on your masters. But to switch jobs, it's more it is difficult, and people usually don't prefer it because you might get a RFE, or you might get a hurdle in your H1B processing.
Yeah, most Americans don't go for higher studies. Most Americans just get a bachelor's degree and get a job and just work. Some people maybe later on will go back and get a master's or MBA, but that's rare. But for international students, for internationals, having a master's is definitely going to help you, kind of like Pars said, to be that extra special edge that you need coming from outside as an international or immigrant employee or student.
I was going to say, I think the chance of getting the H1B is obviously higher for a master's student because you have the extra 20,000 pool for the H1B lottery. So that's more reason for a company to hire a master's student. I wouldn't say over a bachelor's. It's just one more pro in the master's column. That's all.
And my opinion is that it's very industry specific. Like if there are like some job positions which require you to have master's degree. For example, when I was looking at Intel, like machine learning engineering position, they were asking like either you should have 5 years of experience or 1 or 2 years of experience with a master's degree. So I with my undergrad degree, I can't even like apply for that job. So it depends on like position, industry, major. But for computer science, I can say that it doesn't really matter at that point. But for international student, it does matter. Master's degree can stand you out for sure.
So some people are asking, should they work and get work experience after their undergrad before coming and doing a master's, or should they come directly from undergrad to do a master's? What's more helpful? What's the importance of work experience before coming to do a master's?
I'll just give my 2 cents here. So in my class, there were 80 people, and out of the 80 people, 50% came directly from undergrad, and the rest 50% had ranging from 2 years until almost 10 years of work experience. What I observed from them is that they found it really hard to sit down and study and do assignments and sit in classes just because of the gap that you have from the academic environment that you're in your undergrad versus your grad school. So my recommendation would be is that if work experience is not something that is very common for your field, again, it depends on the field, I would not stay away from school for more than a few years before pursuing my grad school. It'll just be harder for you to do that transition of going back and having that discipline to, work on assignments 30 hours a week. So just think about that. You're going to work for a few years.
If the experience is relevant, then it could be helpful. Because it can be carried forward to the place that you want to work over here in States. But if the experience is not relevant, then it's just gonna waste your time of those years. So I would say if you are very sure which field you want to pursue, I think just kind of continuing bachelor's and master's is the best thing. That's what I did. And if you're not sure, you can always take internships and kind of find out like which field you are interested in. But doing taking an experience in India, I don't think so that is very helpful if it is not relevant. I've seen people who are like 27, 28 and still kind of joining on the lower levels because their experience that they had in India for 3-4 years doesn't get carried over. So, they kind of wasted a few years of their life. I'm not saying that, that's something wrong or anything like that, but that's, if you want kind of, if you want your experience, your years to be counted, then have that integrity. That's what I would suggest.
Here's a good one. So from Vishwas, if I decided to take a fall 20 online, how can I still build a network staying at home, especially for students who don't have work experience coming for masters just after their undergrad? Maybe spring could also be online, and students like me will have very less time to build a network and have a huge disadvantage over, compared to people with a work experience in their job search. So in summary, how can people network, which we're encouraging them to do, while doing their fall, maybe spring online?
Take this problem to your career advisors. They are there for that, like your dean of the department and all of those people. They are there to help, and it's their duty to make sure that you guys have a good enriching experience. So let them know this is what your concern is, and I'm sure they will have some curriculum or some programs to kind of have some interactive sessions. And if they don't, you can also be the initiator over here, right? Like you can also kind of start some online sessions like these, or kind of network with people offline, or even on using LinkedIn or all of those tools. So that's what I would suggest. You have to kind of back it up with your own efforts, and if nothing is being happening, then you have to just initiate. You have to lead those things for yourself, because it is important. Opportunities will only foster if you have a good network established.
Yeah, like mentioned before, I think a lot of the in-person networking opportunities that exist here in America have moved online and virtually. And so you can still take advantage of those. There's online meetups and conferences and networking opportunities. People are looking to network. And so you can still do that virtually online until you can actually do it in person. You just have to take the initiative and go be a part of those things. So those opportunities are still there. Here's a good question. So if people opt for the online classes for the fall, and then eventually, hopefully by the spring or next fall, they can come to America for in classes. What happens if they start online? Then is there a risk their visa could get it rejected? Or, what are the odds of that? Or people are worried about the visa risk, by starting online.
I honestly don't think we're qualified to answer that question. Yeah, Parth might know more about this because he's done the research, but
it is definitely hard to predict what visa counselors will do, and there are speculation that you already have an admit, which means that you're financially capable to go. But again, it's just so many factors they decide on. So I don't think we can say yes or no. It's a lot of factors.
Yeah, definitely a risk. Definitely no guarantees with any visa stuff. Yeah, and that's a great question for the universities. You should be talking to them.
There is a question, I guess, for you or me. There's a question that says that how does someone who does not have experience in project or product management get into the said fields? Well, you guys know I'm from chemical engineering, which I can tell you with certainty has nothing to do with product management, at least not directly in terms of the courses. So I would say first, see if you want to be a product manager, because it's not for everyone. Not everyone would enjoy it. A huge part of the day involves being around people and trying to have authority over people without actually having authority over people. So it is not as glamorous as you would think it is. But if you like the fundamental qualities of being a product manager, if you can resonate with that, totally go for it. There are many articles out there that talk about what it feels like to be a product manager, so you can read that. But I would just say, to be a product manager, you need to have experiences in your life where you were a PM. So try to take as many project courses as you can, like I said before, and work with people. Work with people and work with end users for whom you're building a product. So that's the only way you can get experience, not by taking courses online.
But one person's asking about, Pooja mentioned about a lot of these education opportunities. Is there any free courses that you guys would recommend for students that you think are highly valuable to work on for certain fields? And one person asked specifically for computer science professionals or any kind of CS industry, or any courses you guys would recommend that people should look at online.
I think one of the books I would recommend is to read like How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's not a course, but it's a book, and I would definitely suggest that people read that, because that can help you a lot in understanding how to network. Apart from that, if you have LinkedIn Premium subscription, you can kind of go to LinkedIn Learning, and there they have so many courses relevant to what you want to study, or kind of add to your skill set, and that would be shown on your LinkedIn profile. So that's actually so good. Like once you complete the the LinkedIn learning course, it would be added to your profile and people could actually see. So those are the suggestions I have. Apart from that, you have to be very like specific of which where you want to see yourself, and if you already have that in mind, only then it doesn't really matter. Like recruiters are not actually going to see how many courses you have. You have to just be able to justify that in the interview. As long as you're able to justify that even without showcasing a coursework, such like course or something like that in the learning section, I think what really matters is just you being able to technically back it up.
Yeah, and for development, for computer science, I would say, I guess Hernur can also agree on this, to go to lead code and hacker rank. Like those are something which you can start working on and start solving problems on those. Because as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, we look at those things and it is free. You just have to create your account, start solving problems, and it'll give you every day new problem to solve. So something very, very important. All the big companies, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, they'll ask you similar problems on for at least for software developers.
Absolutely. Lead code is my favorite too. But in terms of courses, I would recommend, if you don't have much experience, to go for the certified courses. But if you look from a recruiter's perspective, if you're comparing like two profiles with the same courses, one is certified versus non-certified, you will definitely prefer the certified one because you don't have done a lot of projects or you don't have much experience. So certified can help you stand out if you don't have experience.
Harnoor, some people are wanting to know, what are the biggest differences between undergrad in America and undergrad in India?
I haven't done undergrad in India, but I have actually made a lot of friends along the journey, so I can maybe answer. So the biggest difference that I've seen is in terms of class participation, how active students are, and the energy level of professors. Because it depends from university to university, but the percentage of professors who are fully energetic and they want to involve their students in the class and they want to challenge them and put up ideas. For example, let me just give you one example. Let's say that I'm a student in a class. I want to ask my professor, "Hey, there's Java 10 which got released this year. I want to learn that rather than this Java 8 which you're teaching us. Can you teach at least 1 week of that latest technology?" He will agree to it and he will say, let's either do extra classes or just let's keep last week for that. But a professor in top universities in India or professor in any university in India will say, "Hey, this is the book. I want to teach you that latest, but our system doesn't allow it, or we are restricted. Sorry, so you have to learn it. But I can recommend you go online and learn from there." So that's the difference. It's a major difference in terms of learning I've seen, and in terms of opportunities, that part I cannot answer because I haven't experienced it. But classroom life I can answer.
So here's a question some people are asking. If they do online courses, especially for the fall, will they be eligible for CPT internship in summer 2021?
I think a lot of it's university based. So I've heard that UTD announced yesterday or day before yesterday that students will be eligible. They are making that amendment, and they're not going to require on campus 9 months. So it's going to be how your university is going to let you do it or not.
Yeah, I completely agree. Some universities have announced it and some have not. But I think that slowly and gradually, a lot of students a lot of universities are taking that move, and a lot of universities are even making like the ACT, SAT, or maybe in case GR exam optional as well for fall 2021.
All right, we got a question for Pooja and Yudi. Does working as a software developer count as relevant work experience when applying for jobs like a project manager, business analyst, product manager? Will it help them get jobs and internships during their masters?
I can talk for project manager and scrum masters. I think the way it will help you is you will be able to sell yourself compared to the people who don't understand software at all. And if they are coming from purely management background, that's where you will, and if you're applying to technology firm or a software product-based companies, that's where you can sell it because you have been a software developer. So you understand how they think, and then you are passionate about project management and hoping you have all the people skills. That's where you will stand out in compared to others. So that's how you can apply your experience for project management and Scrum Masters.
And I will tell you that I almost did a crash course on computer science because I didn't know any basics of it in my third semester when I was preparing for a few interviews. And I would not have had to do that if I was a software engineer. Because I knew that at the end of the day, a product manager is someone who will work with engineers and data scientists and researchers a lot. I mean, the people that I work with the most are engineers throughout the day. So I need to speak their diction and their vernacular. For that, I need to know the basics. But at the same time, if all of your experience is in software engineering, that's also not good. So you want to mix it up and also work, take up some of the roles of a project or a product manager, maybe in your next project that you're working on. It's always it's neither black nor white. It's always in the middle.
Here's a fun question. Are interviews different in America compared to other countries like India? Or how are they different, like job interviews?
I have never interviewed for a job in India, so I have.
Yeah, I have, and I'm just trying to think how different it is. I guess we don't do aptitude test. I mean, when I was doing my bachelor's and we had this on-campus placement where we had to do this aptitude test, it's almost like a mini version of GRE. We don't do that over here. I don't know. I mean, at least as far as I know, we have never done it in my company, and we focus very much role based. So that's one big difference. And the HR round, I guess this, I don't know. It's hard to say. That's like one of the difference. I know.
I think if it's an MNC, like for example, Qualcomm is in India and it's here as well, and Intel is in India, it's here as well. Apple is, a few branches are in India. Facebook is in India. So if they are an MNC, then the interview procedure is not very different. Because the thing is, the technical teams that work across nations have the same level of expertise, and their way of hiring people is kind of the same, because a lot of times when we need help here in San Diego to monitor a project or something like that, if we have less hands, we call these people from India, and they are extremely talented and they have such a good hold on their subjects. And so it is, I wouldn't say that there is any difference if it's a multinational company, but if it's a local company, maybe their procedure is different. But as long as I would say, like for companies like big names, their procedure is the procedure might be different, but the difficulty of the interview is kind of the same. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think in America, the soft skills and the behavioral rounds definitely carry more weight. In a lot of places in the world, especially where Eastern cultures where it's more authoritarian and the power distance is high, they just care more about the numbers, the qualification in your piece of paper, what your grades were, your ranking. In America, it's a lot more egalitarian. The power distance is less, and you work more much like a peer with your boss. And so the relationship is really important. They care more about, can you communicate? Can you relate? The hiring manager asks literally the question, do I like this person? And I know friends who've gotten jobs who are less qualified, but because the people hiring like them more, and they made a more friendly connection. So those things have a lot bigger importance here in America than a lot of parts in the world, is the relationship soft skills, which most international students spend no time focusing on. Unless there's one final question you guys can think of, I'm ready to wrap it up.
Who's going to subscribe to Rob now? Let's do that.
Yeah,
Everybody
I feel
in the
like
chat.
coaching needs to have much more subscribers than it does right now, because Rob's videos are on point. And I love the video on how to install a bidet. I had no idea it was that easy. So definitely go subscribe to his channel.
And yeah, this is a great way to say thanks again. We'll send out a feedback form in the next couple days. Subscribe to all of our channels so we can keep helping you guys out and supporting you. And go and apply what you've learned on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. Put those things into action and get your profiles ready. And so thanks for joining us. Panelists, any final words you want to launch our attendees out with?
I just want to say that please spend time with your family and friends this summer, because you will never, ever, ever get this time back. And I know it sucks, you're in quarantine, you're at home, but you will cherish this moment. You will long for this once you come to the US. So I just want to say that and end this. Thank you all so much.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope this video was really helpful to guide you guys in your journey to success. There's a couple ways you guys can say thanks. One is filling out the feedback form, whether the link is in the description. That's going to help us put on more webinar events like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels of all the presenters to show your support and help us to help you guys. And lastly, connect with us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to tag us. You can recommend us. We really want to help you guys out in your journey to success here in America. Cheers.